Welcome back to Echo Ridge in another episode here in our max difficulty achievement run. Today, we are 100% probably going to get this industrial sauna up and going. This one is going to take a few episodes because it's a lot of work and a lot of space. Step 1 is going to be putting in these suits. Now, there's a small problem with suits here on Rikazan, and that has to do with the fact that we only have 27 units of reed fiber. And the only reason we have that is because the overflow from the water sieve is heading into one thimble reed, which won't be quite enough to keep us going when all these Atmo suits start getting worn out. We also have another problem. This water is 93 degrees, and this is our supply of cobalt. There's a stack of 5 tons worth of cobalt sitting here, and unfortunately, it ends up hurting the dupes a little bit too much. So to fix this, I have a dumb plan. I'm going to let all this water come out and splash into this pond right here. Once it does, I can then cool down the area by dropping some of this salt water that is nice and cold down back into this area. Like I said, it's a dumb idea, but it's all we have. One problem at a time though. Let's go ahead and fix our problem with the reed fiber. It just so happens that we have plenty of polluted water here, so we're going to throw down one hydroponic farm, throw the polluted water right into it, and then plant our lone thimblereed seed right in here. Now the great thing about growing thimblereed is it only takes 2 cycles to harvest, which means our supply of reed fiber will quickly shoot up. And as long as this area stays above 22 and lower than 37 degrees, we should be just fine. Amongst everything else, we're also running low on filtration medium once again. Except this time I might have a better solution. There is a lot of sand up here. There's also some regolith up here, although it's a little warmer at about 109 degrees. I would rather deal with the heat issues than not have any filtration medium. For the simple reason, this place is an absolute hot mess. And at all times, it seems like I have 3 duplicates with slime lung. And when a duplicate has slime lung, they move slower, they have coughing fits which causes them to stop moving altogether, and the recovery time for slime lung is very, very long. For instance, Jack Dye just got slime lung, and its time to recovery is 4 cycles. The key to getting rid of the slime lung is a couple fold. First, either submerging all this slime so it'll stop off-gassing, and second, covering all the sources of polluted water up with regular water so it won't off-gas as well. Because slime lung actually dies in regular oxygen, and while it doesn't appear to be in our current situation, it's only because there is so much polluted oxygen literally everywhere. So as soon as the oxygen kills some slime lung, more of it just transfers right back in from all the germs and the polluted oxygen. The good news is we finished these naphtha locks, so now we can actually start vacuuming out this entire area, which is also going to take forever. But I think we're going to worry about the cobalt situation first, only because I'm going to have to micro this pretty well. This volcano is dormant right now, and so is this one, so there's no time like the present to take care of this issue. So I think we're going to start just by bulldozing this here. I suppose we'll also need to get rid of these so most of this hot water drains. Oh look, there's more sand in here too. Yeah, let's go ahead and take all this as well. As a reminder, this liquid pump is going to take all of that hot salt water, drop it off right to this liquid vent where we are slowly filling up this area. This water is eventually going to be turned into steam once we uncork all these volcanoes. Okay, this process was not completed without, some trials and tribulation. Good luck, Brian. Okay, and when I said some trials and tribulations, I meant a lot more than that. I thought the pump would be able to keep up with the water flow. Unfortunately, I was a little bit wrong, and now we have 90-degree salt water spreading out throughout our base. Yay! It's gonna be okay. I promise. Maybe. Alright, in the history of all my great ideas, that one might have been the worst. It seems we have a problem here. Please send help. On the good news front, though, we've managed to stop the polluted water from off-gassing. I mean, that was my plan the entire time. Alright, things are looking a little better. Not too much. But I've got another idea. We're going to put in a regular tank here, and I'm going to drop this water and move this liquid pump down. And then I'm going to build a retention wall right here with manual airlocks. And whenever we need cold water, we'll drop some more down. And whenever it gets too hot, we'll drop into this tank and then pump it into here. Because there's a lot of water for us to be able to use to keep these 2 volcanoes cool until we get to the point where we can actually tame them properly. So while this process is a little janky, it's solving 2 problems. One, it's going to cool this entire area down, And 2, we're actually cleaning up all of this. Now, if that's not winning, I don't know what is. We're also making sure to build this new liquid pump out of gold amalgam, just like this one. That way it has the higher threshold for the overheat temperature at 125 C. This natural gas geyser is also started to erupt again, and as you can see, it's already over pressure, which means it's time for your best friend and mine, the buffer tank. In this case, we'll be using the gas buffer tank variant. We're going to put a bunch of mesh tiles here, no big deal, and then line a bunch of gas reservoirs right here. All of these also being made out of gold amalgam. Now, to tell you the truth, this is probably still not going to be enough on the buffer tank front, but for now, it should help a little bit. At least into the point where we can put some sort of permanent solution into place for all of this nonsense here. And with those 4 gas reservoirs installed, we shouldn't have to worry about overpressure issues on that vent for at least a little while. And for no particular reason, we're actually going to use Colonel Sanders' doctoring skills by putting a couple of skill points into medicine compounding and even advanced doctor care. Because for reasons that are escaping me, we just keep getting injured dupes on this colony. I can't seem to figure out why. But we're going to fix that in the future, don't worry. Until then, off to the ER they go. Couple of updates. I seem to have set a new record on the amount of dupes with slime lung on this colony. We now have 4 out of our 6 infected, which is actually surprising because we have so much clean oxygen in the primary living spaces of the colony. Sadly though, the germs don't seem to mind yet, but we're getting there slowly but steadily. Also on the odd news front is the pod gave us a few shovel eggs, so I'm going to put them in this storage bin, deconstruct the storage bin, and let the shovels live on this one tile for a little while. Potentially they could be a good food source. We've also finished our retaining wall, and the duplicants have built the overpass ladder. We've also got the 2 volcanoes being analyzed, and I know what a lot of you are thinking about this is, why don't I just tame these 2 volcanoes now? Yeah, that's a pretty good point, but I like to play the game a little bit differently sometimes because we've done the same sort of thing over and over again. So when we do have an opportunity to try something new, I like to try it. Plus, I'm working on this right now, okay? One thing at a time. Some of the cold salt water is starting to drop now. I'm going to get rid of some of these tiles to make the flow a little bit easier. All of this water has been slowly draining into the pond. It's going to end up overflowing, but that's not too big of a deal because when it does, it'll overflow into saltwater retention tank. And just for thermal issues, I think we're going to stop this pump from pumping for now. In fact, we'll put some automation on it and wait until the water gets to this level before it starts pumping again, and that way we keep some cold thermals. The good news though is this area is now pretty chilly once again. I need more water to come in here though because I need this entire area to fill up decently. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and remove a bunch of this. It'll drop this sand and some of this salt water here. Now the cobalt in this tank is still kind of warm, sitting at 85 degrees, but it will slowly lose more and more temp, especially considering the salt water in this area is only 45. I think I'm actually going to make a little bit more room, and that way there's more thermal capacity in here. With this system relatively done, I think it's time to concentrate more on our industrial sauna. Step 1 is going to be getting the suits made. We have our exosuit forge here, so we'll queue up the creation of 6 Atmo suits, and then all we have to do is connect them with oxygen. Except for some reason, my spawn is not working anymore. Eventually this whole thing will be fed off of steam that will condense back into water and then chill. For now though, it's working on the sludge press. We still have 35 tons worth of water, but to help this process out more, I think we're going to put in some more, you guessed it, buffer tanks. With the buffer tanks in, now all we need to do is set the sludge press to a priority of 6. And that way they'll keep using the sludge press until these liquid reservoirs are pretty full. And then when the sludge press can't output anymore, well, they'll just stop using the sludge press. And at that time, I'll probably put it back down on a priority of 5. Might need to fix these pipes though. I don't think that's working quite correctly. Another thing we have to worry about in the future of this colony is the fact that the oxygen's coming out at 50 degrees. Right now, we're not going to care because this entire colony is still a dumpster fire. The next step is going to be a little bit of a detour. Because this area is now chilled, which means we'll have safe access to get to this cobalt, unfortunately, I think it's time to upgrade all these power lines. I need to do that before I can put in a bunch of gas pumps because, well, we just don't have more power available on these lines. So unfortunately, this is going to take a month of Sundays. It seems like everything with this colony is taking that long. Now will be the fun time to play Where Did I Miss? And to replace all these bridges. I'll see you guys in a few cycles. I sort of lost count how many cycles we've gone through, but we're almost done with the power upgrades. As you can see, the places furthest away from where the dupes are the last wires that need to be upgraded. So because I'm antsy, I put the suits in and also connected them into power already. That way they can start filling up with oxygen. It'll take a little bit, and I just realized I made a mistake on how I connected these. You always want to connect the very first suit first because it's the one that uses the most oxygen. We're also having a small problem with the bog buckets because, you know, of course we are. The bog buckets have a maximum temperature of 30 degrees. And I'm not sure if it was all the hot water that came down through here or the sludge press being constantly used that generates 4,000 DTUs worth of heat. But either way, this area has gotten a little bit too warm for the bog buckets. Not a huge deal. I'm doing a couple things about that. First, I'm just rotating a bunch of polluted water through it, and I put a liquid vent in here until this whole area is chilled again. I don't have to worry about the sludge press anymore because all 3 buffer tanks are already full. It's going to be used very rarely. As you can see, water is waiting to come out of the sludge press, and only until this line has more available room will the sludge press queue up another errand. So I believe the fact that it won't be being used as much will help reduce the heat generation in this area. If I had a little bit more dupe labor, I'd probably just put all the bog buckets down here because it's nice and chill down here. We also, if times get bad, can tap into this entire ice biome and start using it as cooling as well. But we're so very close to being able to have all the heat generation we're going to need by using these 3 volcanoes, which means we can pump them into some steam turbines and then chill out the output, which should give us a fairly good source of cool water and coolant. Another small update is even though this natural gas geyser is still dormant, this one has already hit overpressured. We're just not using enough power on this colony. So in comes some more buffer tanks. We're going to go in through this one first, and then we're going to come out and go right back in this way. And then we do the same sort of loop-de-loop and get everything reconnected. I mean, it's just a few more errands for the dupes. It's times like this that I really wish I had a colony of about, I don't know, 20 duplicants. The big disadvantage of having all these gas reservoirs in is the natural gas they're holding is at 113C. It's okay right now because this entire area is flooded with carbon dioxide. And carbon dioxide doesn't transfer thermals too well. But don't kid yourself, eventually this will be a problem, and hopefully by then I have a solution. But we're going on the 3rd episode that I've been working on industrializing this colony, and it's still taking forever. I'm going to go ahead and kick it in fast forward mode and see what I can get done. 2nd roll of duct tape in place. Let's see how long this one lasts, shall we? We also have the Atmosuit checkpoint in, which means I can remove the restrictions on this door because I'm not worried about them getting scalded anymore, and start putting in some gas pumps. We'll put one here, we'll put one here, we'll put one up here, and we'll put one, like say over here. Unfortunately, the best case for this is going to be dumping it into the atmosphere out here, which means all the work we've done of cleaning up the polluted oxygen is going to sort of go away. But I do have a bunch of deodorizers around here, indiscriminately located just about everywhere. In fact, the slime lung is even taking a hike a little bit, and we're down to just 1 case of slime lung in the colony. Winning! Now I am going to do the unadvisable and start pumping out all the gases here before we have everything swept up, because I know it's going to take a long time for us to be able to pump out this entire area, so we might as well. I put an automatic dispenser here that'll be accepting all the slime and the polluted dirt and the polluted mud, and it'll just sit down here at the bottom of the tank. I had to spend some more Glenn Sullivan's skill points in order to get them into electrical engineering. It's not often that I've ran into this problem to even realize that you need electrical engineering to be able to build steam turbines, but it just so happens that we do. Not a big deal. We're going to end up putting 5 steam turbines on top of these 3 volcanoes for no other reason than I'm just throwing a number up against the wall and seeing if it sticks. We do have more room if we do end up needing more steam turbines, but I think 5 is going to be plenty for these 3 volcanoes, especially considering how big this industrial sauna is. Eventually, we're going to fill the whole thing with temperature shift plates and everything as well. And then finally, we'll be picking up that hot refined metal off the floor and start weaving it towards the top of the sauna, where it eventually will exit into some sort of cooling solution. We also had a gas pump in here to make sure this place was vacuumed out. That way, none of the heat coming from inside the sauna that's going to end up heating up this naphtha is going to be able to transfer to this naphtha. In other words, we're keeping these 2 sides thermally separated. Also, with that gas pump done, we can add another gas pump. Speed this thing along. Now, about the indigenous wildlife, I warned them. I put up signs, I dropped flyers, nothing seemed to have worked. Now they're stuck in here. And while I'm pretty sure the puffs will do fine in the vacuum, they're not going to do so well in the steam. Sorry guys, my impromptu cooling system did not work, so I removed the liquid vent and dug up all the bog buckets. We are now planting them back down here where it's still only 27 degrees. Unfortunately, I may have waited a bit too long because we're down to 10,000 calories. We still have plug slug omelets and some mushrooms, so we should be okay. To tell you the truth though, I need to start transitioning to more fried mushrooms because of our infinite supply of slime. I'll probably do that in the near future when I see that our polluted water levels are going down a little bit too fast. So far, we haven't made a dent, and I'm assuming it's partially because the natural gas generators are producing so much polluted water. The problem with trying to do the math on that is, yeah, the natural gas geyser can produce 67.5 grams per second, which comes out to be a little over 40 kilos per cycle. So you'd think we'd have 80 kilos here between the two natural gas generators. The difficult thing is you don't know exactly how long they're running. Based on the last 5 cycles, it's about 50%, so you can kind of figure that this colony is producing 40 kilos worth of polluted water per cycle. Well, that's only enough to feed one bog bucket. But then you also take into account that we can produce polluted water by using the sludge press and crushing all that polluted mud. So just to be safe, we are going to get rid of at least this bottom level and put in some of those mushrooms. The mushrooms only require 4 kilos worth of slime per cycle, and considering these meteors drop off so much, that shouldn't be too bad. And thanks to the fact that my targeting beacon was entombed, we have interplanetary payloads filled with plastic all over the planetoid. Oh, how fun. In the meantime, we're going to supplement our diet with some puffed barbecue? I'm really not sure what kind of animal a puffed is, or what it's supposed to be. I mean, it flies like a bird, but it doesn't look like a bird. Either way, you get my point. We're eating the puffs. In some rather incredible news, it only took 1 episode, and we actually got a mutated seed from the thimbleweeds. This one ended up being Lycie. Now, Lycie can be pretty fun because on top of it growing its normal, for instance, on a thimbleweed reed fiber, it'll also grow meal lice. Speaking of food, I managed to ship over about 25 kilos worth of berry sludge, which gave the dupes a little over 85,000 calories. And that should last the dupes until these dust caps come in. I'm actually thinking about raising this level here, but I'm going to wait until this harvest is complete because I don't want to interfere if this water level keeps rising. Now, according to my old math, it took 7 dust caps to feed a max difficulty dupe. With 6 dupes means I'm going to need 42 dust caps. Oh, will you look at this. We finally got the mutated fungal spore too. Let's go ahead and get rid of this little guy. Could someone tell me what Ryan is doing? I think they're having the slime lung coughing fit, except they're doing it in the suit. That's just the first time I'd ever seen that one. Look, I am as surprised as you are, but we are almost done sweeping out this entire sauna. I think we're still calling it a sauna, right? I don't think it matters that it's wrapped in abyssalite and it's a little janky. That's gonna be okay. I've also put metal tiles here, and that way when these volcanoes do erupt, the liquids will be pushed towards the center, so all that molten metal will fall into this pool here, eventually heating it up. As predicted, this volcano and this volcano are dormant, but this one is active. So if the gas pumps will hurry up and do their thing, we're down to micrograms of gas pressure in here, we'll be able to uncork these volcanoes, and then I'll have to wait another 100 cycles to end up heating up all this water. I can't believe it. I think I might actually have tears in my eyes. It is time, finally, to uncork these volcanoes. Let's just go ahead and do one of these, and one of these, and one of these. We'll also make sure none of these last pieces of debris are slime, so we know nothing is going to off-gas, and then we can remove all these gas pipes. Oh, look at this beautiful, beautiful liquid cobalt. It's only 1200 degrees. We have to let it build up a little bit in order to be able to push everything to the side. There's some debris in here that was soaking up some of that heat. I really wish I would have gotten it out before this volcano erupted, because it's what's causing this cobalt to solidify, but I need it to get thick enough to where it spreads over to the side. We'll go ahead and sweep that up. It'll be okay. Update on this system is it's working pretty well. The water is back up to 86 degrees over here, 83 over here. In the center though, it's only about 70. Once it gets about 10 degrees higher, I'll open this floodgate All the water will drop down in here, mix with this 54-degree water, and then we'll dump some of this water in. That's still sitting at 27 degrees. Hopefully by then, this entire project will be done, so I can concentrate the dupe labor somewhere else. Next time when I make the metal tiles, I'll make sure I make them out of steel. But the great news is some of that molten cobalt has dropped down here and started making some wonderful steam. So it may not be a sauna yet, but it's definitely a cool looking rain room. As the volcanoes erupt, I wait for the heat to be drained out a little bit of metal that is dripping down here, and then I sweep it up. If I didn't, as soon as some 1400-degree cobalt hits this debris here, it'll average the two temperatures based on their mass, which would make this whole process very inefficient. The salt water is up to 48 degrees. It's gonna be a little while. I'm specifically waiting for this iron volcano to come out of dormancy because it erupts at 2500 degrees, which should help flash that giant pool a little bit quicker. I'm getting caught up with some errands around the colony, such as picking up all this debris and sort of cleaning this place up a little bit. And that way I know once we do start the process of the rest of the projects on this colony, at least the duplicants will be living the decent life. And I just realized Jack Dyed has not been eating in the Great Hall since they were printed. Oops. And in good news, the iron volcano looks like it's going to erupt in about 2.5 cycles. Now, while these volcanoes are hot enough to start flashing this, it's not going to stay as a sauna until I end up getting all the temperature shift plates in. I've given it a lot of thought, but based on the materials that we have, sedimentary rock, we have 225 tons, but unfortunately it has a melting point of 926, so I'd rather not use it, especially around the volcanoes. The igneous rock is typically my favorite for inside of saunas though because it has the slow heating tag, which tells us if it's slow heating, that means it's slow heat releasing as well. So while it'll take a while to heat up, once it is heated up, it'll sort of hold its temperature for longer, which will end up turning all those igneous rock temperature shift plates into a bunch of little thermal batteries. Unfortunately, it's gonna take me forever, all sitting here doing things like this. So I think this is about the part where I'm going to let you go. And I think before next episode, I'm definitely going to install the blueprint mod because it would make this job a lot quicker. Alright, who am I kidding? I'll be right back. The more I use the blueprint mod, the more I'm convinced that it should be a staple to this game. I mean, the game is all about blueprints and that sort of thing. So it seems to naturally fit the design of the game. And now all I have to do is sort of place them. Look at this! So much easier. Well, as long as I don't make a boo-boo. And what probably would have taken me 15 to 20 minutes took me about 3. Got a little bit of cleaning up here to do, but nothing too big of a deal. Always make sure your temperature shift plates aren't going to be coming in contact with your bisylite because you don't want to be injecting temperature into them because that's just wasting the thermals. Other than making sure that we'll be able to hit some of these spots right here, I think we're good to go. So I think I'm going to let this run in the background for, I don't know, 4 hours and see what the dupes can come up with. But with 6 dupes in each temperature shift plate, 800 kilos, I'm not even sure if this is going to be done by the end of next episode. I hope you enjoyed this one and are still enjoying the series because we still have a lot of work to do in it. If you are, please consider hitting the like button. That way, you know, YouTube will do its thing. It helps me out a lot. It helps promote the video and, well, it's free. So until next time, much love, happy gaming, and I'll talk to you soon.